born in Washington, Georgia, May 30th, 1940. Brought up in church all my life, starting out when I was a child. At 5 years old, the devil tried to kill me with spinal meningitis. He didn't succeed. They told my mother, the doctor told my mother, that only 1 out of 100 patients were being saved from that. So I missed that one. And then I moved on in life and still in the church every week. And my family were Christian. My grandparents were Christian. And I really enjoyed my life up till that time. And then I went, when I was 12 years old, I went into the hospital to have emergency surgery on my tonsils. They went bad or something, they said, and they took the tonsils out and everything was fine, and I went home. And then about a week later, I started hemorrhaging. And so they rushed me to the hospital, and here we go again. The doctor says, well, y'all hadn't got him here. When you did, he would have bled to death. So the Lord was with me at these times and brought me through things that I didn't know he brought me through, have any idea, because I wasn't in a church that taught these things and told you that God's hand was on you. And I gave my life to the Lord, and gave my life to the Lord when I was about 12 years old. I graduated from high school in 1958 and went to 2 years of college. I should have stayed, but I was offered a job with a company and thought the money was big, so I left. I got married when I was 18. When I was 37, my dad got me into a business for myself, which I didn't know anything about. I didn't have any idea about going into a business for myself. He helped me with it, and of course, there again, I didn't know the Lord was helping me. He had to have been, because we expanded to about 38 states. I had sales reps in 38 states. And then I sold that company in 1990. But I need to go back to 1976 when I got saved. I was in an independent Baptist church that the Holy Ghost was really flowing in. Actually, people were getting saved and filled with the Holy Ghost, but the pastor wasn't. He was against that, but the Spirit was flowing. I was in the praise and worship group, and when I got saved, God touched me. I stopped smoking, drinking, cussing, and partying. Just like that. I mean, it was instant. When I got saved, all that dropped off of me. What a miracle. Miracle. I didn't know it was a miracle at the time. It just happened. And you know, our friends dropped off. They dropped off. We had a lot of friends. And when we got saved and started speaking things of God, we lost all those friends. But then you find all your friends that are saved. And then we went to a Kenneth Hagin meeting. I got saved in May of 1977 and stayed in that church for 3 or 4 months, but God kept telling me there was more, you need to find more. So we started searching. Finally, we ended up at a Kenneth Hagin meeting in Atlanta, Georgia in January 1978. And we both, my wife and I both got filled with the Spirit. And from that day on, it was like a fire in me to serve the Lord every day. When you're a nominal church member and you're not saved and filled with the Spirit, you don't do those things. But then it became an everyday, a 7-day-a-week thing with me. Well, that company that my daddy helped me start, God set it up, got me into 38 states. He also, he sold that business for me to a Jewish company. Bought that company from me that I had been doing business buying from them for years, and they knew what I was doing. So they bought my company, and which I went into in 1967 in the business in that company, and I sold it in 1990. And I took 4 years off, and we went around the country visiting churches. We went to California visiting churches. We were so excited about the Lord. I went to Jack Hayford's church, Van Nuys, California, and several more right there on the West Coast. But every time they meet for years, we were at every big meeting that anybody had, praising the Lord and witnessing. And in 1973, God saved me again. I was in a head-on collision with a tractor-trailer truck. And that was before I got saved and filled with the Spirit. I really didn't know I didn't realize God's hand was there. But it was, because the doctor told me when I was getting out of the hospital that he didn't see how I ever, that was a 100-mile-an-hour total collision. He was doing 60 and I was doing 40. And he said, you got a miracle. And today I'm still walking around at 79 years old. But after getting saved and going and doing things in Spirit-filled churches, and I joined the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship in 1978. And Demas was one of my big inspirations in life, along with Jimmy Rogers. And I started another company after I sold that company. God let me start another company. And my dad, he got killed in that accident with me in '73, so I didn't have him to help me start it. So this one was all God. I started this company in '94 and sold it in 6 years, and we were doing businesses and had sales reps in 48 states. And then after I sold it, I worked for them for 6 years, owned it for 6 years, worked for the company for 6 years, and then retired. And then I got real busy in Full Gospel again after a few years of not being in an area, sometimes not being in an area where there was a Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship. And then Jimmy Rogers enticed me to get back in, so I got in on the international, and Richard appointed me a national director within 2 years, and that was a miracle. I'd never hardly held any office like that in Full Gospel. I was on the board of directors of several chapters, but all of a sudden I'm a national director. And then when they changed over, Jimmy Rogers moved things over to Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship in America. I went there, and as soon as I called Bob Bignall on the phone and told him I was probably going to come, he told me I'd come over as a national director, just like I was with the old one. So I was then national director with them, and then had the honor of serving as Georgia national director for the state of Georgia for a while. And then I went back to being a National Director at Large, and now I'm National Director Emeritus. So it's been a God thing. And they say, everybody says, you know, we got to think, but God. If God hadn't been involved, I wouldn't have been anywhere. And He's carried me into places that I've been all over the United States with the full gospel. And my wife and I now have just completed 11 years at a church in North Augusta, South Carolina, as the music ministers, praise and worship directors.
Good. Thank you.